afternoon. From the KUOW newsroom, this is Seattle Now. I'm Paige Browning, settling in for a pre-holiday weekend. If you're traveling, best wishes out there. We're giving you a lot to chew on today because we are taking a break and not putting out these news roundups next week. So settle in. Here's our roundup of today's top stories. It's Friday, November 21st. Tonight, the Northwest's primary oil pipeline is shut down, as it has been since Monday. And now Washington Senator Maria Cantwell is seeking answers from energy giant BP. The Democrat has asked the company's CEO to explain by Monday what led to fuel spills and shutdowns on its pipeline outside of Everett this month. The shutdowns have thrown supplies of petroleum fuels into chaos in Washington and Oregon. Governor Bob Ferguson declared an emergency on Wednesday to keep SeaTac Airport from running out of jet fuel. Airport officials say no flights have been affected so far. Keep tabs on KUOW.org for updates next week. The Seattle City Council has passed the city's 2026 budget. It boosts funding for areas that could face cuts by the Trump administration. Those include $350 million for affordable housing and funds for food assistance, behavioral health, and addressing homelessness. Council President Sarah Nelson is also celebrating that the city's increasing its support for drug treatment.
When I took office, the city didn't even fund rehab, and so we've come a long way, and I just wanted to thank you.
Seattle's 2026 budget also doubles the size of the city's crisis response team, which sends non-law enforcement responders to some emergencies. Seattle's newly elected city attorney, Erica Evans, says she hopes to ramp up more alternatives to prosecution, like a new community court. Evans says she's preparing for a smooth transition, but she says she's disappointed that her opponent in the race, current city attorney Ann Davison, never contacted her to concede or offer congratulations. Evans says she thinks elected leaders have a responsibility to hand things off during a transition and be receptive to the will of the voters.
I think that's a part of leadership. It might not feel good, it might be uncomfortable, but it's the right thing to do.
Evans says a deputy in the office is assisting with the transition. Evans herself previously worked in the city attorney's office under its former elected leader, Pete Holmes. She takes office in January. Davison's campaign did not immediately respond to a request for comment. In health news today, community health centers in the Seattle area are bracing for an influx of patients who can't pay for their care. That's because of federal changes to Medicaid and the elimination of federal subsidies for Obamacare insurance plans. Because of that, about 400,000 Washington state residents are expected to lose their health insurance. Eilish O'Neill has more.
HealthPoint is a network of community health clinics, mostly in South King County. Lisa Yohalam is their CEO.
We serve everyone in our community, regardless of their ability to pay or whether they have insurance coverage. And so as more people become uninsured in our community, demand for our services will increase.
Yohalam says about 3/4 of HealthPoint patients are on Medicaid, and many of them are expected to lose those benefits, so HealthPoint will no longer get any payment for their care. Plus, people who lose their Obamacare coverage might also find their way to community clinics for free doctor's appointments. Yohalam plans to look for donations to cover the cost of caring for the newly uninsured. Eilish O'Neill, KUOW News.
In our next story, why UW student makeup is different this year. China and India sent 9% fewer students to the University of Washington this fall. Ann Dornfeld reports.
Nearly 2/3 of the UW's 7,900 international students are from China and India. But fewer came this year after the Trump administration said it increased vetting of student visas, like reviewing applicants' social media accounts. Kim Lovas oversees international enrollment at the U. She says although it's down 7% overall this fall, they'd feared worse.
I think the West Coast in general has maintained a strong international student enrollment. I know national trends and hearing from colleagues across the country that that's not true in all locations.
Lova says it helps that the UW starts a month later than many schools, giving students more time to get their visas in order. Ann Dornfeld, KUOW News.
A couple of politics stories to update you on. President Trump can retain control of some Oregon National Guard troops, a federal appeals court has ruled. But Trump still can't deploy them, Oregon Public Broadcasting's Conrad Wilson reports.
The order was issued by the U.S. Court of Appeals for the Ninth Circuit and meant to keep the status quo while federal courts work through the legality of domestic military deployments. In practice, the order means 100 Oregon National Guard troops set to be returned to the state by the end of the week will instead remain under President Trump's authority. The Ninth Circuit also agreed to hear an appeal by the Trump administration, but for now kept in place a lower court ruling that found the president didn't have a legal basis to call up the Oregon Guard in the first place. Currently, the U.S. Supreme Court is considering a similar case about the president's efforts to deploy National Guard troops to Chicago. The Ninth Circuit says they would wait to hear Oregon's case after the High Court decides that one. I'm Conrad Wilson in Portland.
One river is making news again today. Backers of an Everett ballot initiative that would grant legal rights to the Snohomish River say they plan to appeal a court ruling that struck down the initiative. Voters approved the measure to make the river a legal entity, which would allow citizens to sue on the river's behalf. But the Master Builders Association of King and Snohomish counties sued to block it, and a judge ruled in their favor this week. The environmental nonprofit Standing for Nature will appeal. Tonight, the puck drops for the very first time for Seattle's newest professional hockey team, the Seattle Torrent. The women's team starts their first season on the road against the Vancouver Golden Eyes. The fan base is already formidable, with fans practicing chants this month and chartering buses to head up to tonight's game. This will be a team that's gritty, big, and smothering, according to hockey reporter Carissa Donkin with CBC Sports.
It's going to be a team that is difficult to play against every night, and Seattle set a new single-day jersey sales record. So we know that the two teams that they've just added in Vancouver and Seattle are already fairly successful from a business perspective.
The Torrent joined the PWHL as the 8th team, just as the sport is on the rise. Another big game coming up this weekend. The University of Washington women's soccer team has reached the Sweet 16 in the NCAA tournament. They face the number 1 seed, Virginia, this Sunday at 11 a.m. It'll stream live on ESPN+. The Huskies are trying to advance to the Elite 8 for the first time since 2010. And finally today, we will be a little lighter on the news next week. I won't be posting these evening headlines. We'll get back on the local news the Monday after Thanksgiving. So we wanted to stock your calendar ahead of time in case you're still looking for things to do. The Renegade Craft Fair is at the Magnuson Park Hangar tomorrow and Sunday to find and support artists this weekend. The Christmas Dive Bar is now open on Capitol Hill, this year hosted at Queer Bar, and you can find some holly jolly already at Rob Roy Bar downtown and the Seattle Center Christmas Market. If you're wanting to give back, Pike Place Market's having a food drive of hearty soups and protein bars for its senior center and food bank. Mark that for the Saturday after Thanksgiving. Big sports lineup in town. Next Wednesday, the NHL Kraken play at home. No pro sports in town Thanksgiving Day. Then Friday, the PWHL Torrent hosts their first home game in Seattle at Climate Pledge Arena. Saturday, the Kraken play at home again. And that Sunday, the 30th, the Seahawks play at home. Whatever you're up to on Thanksgiving, I hope you get a great meal and have someone to share gratitude with. Next week on Seattle Now, as more Hawaiian natives move to Washington, the tradition of lei-making and gifting is becoming more common in the region.
One of the kind of starter points is that you usually do not buy lei for yourself. Lei are gifts. They're supposed to be given to other people.
Hear that Monday morning. That's all for today from the KUOW newsroom in Seattle. Our producer is Andy Hurst, and I'm Paige Browning. Seattle Now and KUOW are members of the NPR network. Have a great weekend.